Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's September 27th, 2018, presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click that video tab to find the show. Social media links are there as well. A bunch of great articles and more. marijuanatimes.org. Today we're talking about medical marijuana news out of the UK. Also, some rescheduling news of sorts for cannabis, kind of. Talk about that. Coming up also, marijuana policy in LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, is making news. Cover all those stories. First, of course, cannabis news is brought to you by Natureside. Nature-side.com. They have a line of organic, all-natural pesticides. If you're a cannabis cultivator in a state where it is legal, grow safe and poison-free, don't use harmful chemicals on your grow. Of course, be regulatory compliant in the state that you are growing in. You can do all of these things with Natureside, nature-side.com, organic, all-natural pesticides, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Go check them out. They're awesome. This first story by yours truly over at marijuanatimes.org. What will medical marijuana look like in the UK? Some news recently came down from the Home Secretary of the UK, who's apparently in charge of all this, along with the country's Health and Social Care Secretary. They released some details about how, quote, cannabis-based products can be administered and by what doctors. The doctors are going to be specialists. And in this case, specialist doctors are those who focus on one field of medicine, obviously. And in the UK, they're listed on the General Medical Council's Specialist Register. They'll be allowed to prescribe certain cannabis medications. What those will be is still remains to be seen. There's going to be a broad range, apparently. But they have three broad requirements when it comes to the medicines that can be dispensed. The product is or contains cannabis, cannabis resin, cannabidiol, or cannabidiol derivatives. The product also must be produced for medical use in humans, and it must be a product that is regulated as a medicinal product or an ingredient of a medicinal product. Home Secretary Sajid Javid, I'm sure I butchered that name, but it's part of my charm. He said, quote, after hearing the cases involving sick children, there's a lot of publicized cases involving sick children in the UK. He said, I pledge to make cannabis products legally available for medicinal use as soon as possible. Agreeing this definition means specialist doctors will be able to prescribe them to patients most in need later this autumn. There will be strict controls in place, and this is in no way a step towards legalizing recreational use of cannabis. Of course, they have to throw that in there, but recreational use will be legalized in the UK in the near future, most likely. This is one of the steps towards that. No, there's no getting around that. The progress is what it is, and it is what it needs to be to, again, fight the prohibition that was thrust upon us so many years ago. This next story from BusinessInsider.com, also in the realm of medical marijuana, this time in the United States. A drug derived from marijuana has triggered the first federal shift on cannabis in half a century, and experts predict an avalanche effect. Wow. All that sounds like great news. And of course, get into the story a little bit. And the news is okay, but I wouldn't classify it as great. After being greenlit as the first federally approved cannabis-based medication at the end of June, the drug, of course, Epidiolex, we talked about many times on this show, has triggered the nation's top drug enforcer to change how it regulates marijuana. It's the first time in 46 years that the agency has shifted its stance on a marijuana compound. Of course, Epidiolex is designed to treat two rare forms of childhood epilepsy. It is derived from cannabidiol, CBD. The latest move means people can now access the drug with a doctor's prescription. The DEA announced the change to its classification of Food and Drug Administration approved drugs containing CBD on a Thursday, roughly 3 months after the FDA approved Epidiolex as a medication. Some researchers expected the agency to reschedule CBD entirely. That did not happen. Instead, the DEA rescheduled FDA-approved medications containing the compound, of which there was only one right now, Epidiolex. They moved it to Schedule 5. All other medical marijuana, including CBD, according to the DEA, remains at Schedule 1. But still, experts say the approval could unleash a wave of new interest in the potential medical applications of CBD and other marijuana compounds. So CBD, FDA-approved drugs containing CBD are now classified as Schedule 5. That's, like I said, it's okay news. It's a little bit of progress. But for people hoping that maybe they would reclassify CBD, period, and eliminate the confusion that surrounds CBD and CBD products nationwide, that's not going to happen. It's just for special, the CBD-derived drugs that get special permission from the Food and Drug Administration. Right now, there only happens to be one. How long will there be only one? Probably quite a while. You know, once monopolies are granted by the federal government, they're not easily taken away. This last story from CenterDaily.com. LAX travelers can carry marijuana, but first they have to get past the TSA. Ah, yes, the ever vigilant, ever on the job TSA. Los Angeles International Airport is allowing travelers to carry marijuana at the giant hub. In reality, this is not new. It's not a new policy. Travelers in LAX have been allowed to carry up to 28.5 grams of marijuana and 8 grams of concentrated marijuana for personal consumption since January of 2018, when California law legalized recreational marijuana in the state. Based on our policy, we're not going to arrest you or confiscate marijuana. This is according to Los Angeles Airport Police spokesperson Alicia Hernandez. Travelers hoping to carry marijuana through LAX should still be aware that they have to get past the U.S. Transportation Security Administration agents at LAX, according to Hernandez, because at a federal level, marijuana is still very much illegal. And, of course, the TSA follows federal law. We are two different entities, Hernandez says. TSA can deny you coming through the checkpoint. The checkpoint is their jurisdiction. And, of course, as we know, the TSA has caught something like 0 terrorists in the past 15 years coming through airport checkpoints. So they're really, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. But those of you, you're in LAX itself and you happen to have an ounce or less of weed, well, you're legal. They're cool. They're cool with it. They're not going to take your weed. Go on about your business. But watch the ever-watching eyes of the TSA there upon you. Thanks, everybody, for checking out this show. Check us out on YouTube and Vimeo, Marijuana Times. Check the Marijuana Times on there. Search it. Search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts as well to get the audio-only version of the show. Keep sharing, commenting, liking these videos, helping us spread the truth about cannabis. We're here 5 days a week. Check us out on the Marijuana Times website, marijuanatimes.org. Click that video tab. Thank you to Natureside and their awesome sponsorship, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thanks again for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.